personally don't feel.
Mr.
Would you push
President, you
for the
mentioned
president?
how much of a rate cut it would do to the interest on the debt. Earlier today, Director Pulte was on CNBC talking about how he suggested Powell should resign. Any comments on whether or not Powell should step down? I know you've been pretty critical.
I don't have a comment. I'd love him to resign if he wanted to. He's done a lousy job. Look, if you were there, you'd say, well, you know, the United States is doing well. They have no inflation. And if they do get inflation in a year or two, we'll start raising the rates. We'll get rid of the inflation, you know, and do other things. Biden had the worst inflation in the history of our country. 19%, but I think it was much higher than that. Frankly, they say 19%. I say I think it's a lot higher than that. And we have almost no inflation now. We've done a great job in a short period of time. Energy prices are way down. Gasoline now is down to close to $2 in a lot of places. A couple of places I see it even broke. It's like $1.98 a gallon. We've done a great job on inflation and honestly, pretty much everything else. I think it's very sad the way people act. You know, you have a guy in there that with the stroke of a pen could lower interest rates and save us hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
Donald Trump's pudding brain was on full display today, not only in a series of insane posts that has gotten us deeper into an idiotic and unnecessary trade war, but in two press conferences in which Donald Trump completely melted down the second, somehow being crazier than the first. Not just because Donald Trump was fact-checked and shut up by a reporter to his face, but also because of his reaction to a different reporter who he just kept calling good-looking. It was very strange. We're going to get into it all, but I want to start with the crazy comments Donald Trump made about Canada at the beginning of the press conference.
Specifically, why are you deciding to end trade talks with Canada, and what rate are you looking to set?
So Canada put a charge on some of our companies, and Canada's been a very difficult country to deal with over the years. You know, we hear Canada, we have a great relationship with the people of Canada, but it's been very difficult. And they put a charge, and they were a little bit early, we found out about it. So, and we have all the cards. We have every single one. We don't want to do anything bad, but they have, economically, we have such power over Canada. I'd rather not use it, but they did something with our tech companies today trying to copy Europe. You know, they copied Europe. It's not going to work out well for Europe either, and it's not going to work out well for Canada. They were foolish to do it. So I said we're going to stop all negotiations with Canada right now until they straighten out their act. Okay?
Is there anything Canada can do to change your mind about this situation?
Well, no, they put a tax on companies that were American companies that they shouldn't. Very severe tax. And, yeah, I guess they could remove it. They will, but I don't really, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. We have all the cards. We have all the cards. You know, we do a lot of business with Canada, but relatively little. They do most of their businesses with us. And when you have that circumstance, you treat people better.
We covered Donald Trump's insane post attacking Mark Carney, saying that he's going to escalate this trade war even further, but that right there was a pretty unfortunate but not unexpected meltdown from Trump. But this claim that they have all the cards that Trump has said from the beginning of his trade war still doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because if you had all the cards, Donald wouldn't one of the cards also be a deal, and you don't seem to have that. So it seems like if I'm doing a little bit of math here, you don't have all the cards. You're lacking some cards. The cards aren't coming for Donald Trump, but it's not just abroad. It's also his dire financial situation at home, because his idiotic trade war is costing him with Jerome Powell, who Donald Trump decided he was going to attack as well. And then we'll see the reporter fact check him to his face.
Mr. President, you mentioned how much of a rate cut it would do to the interest on the debt. Earlier today, Director Pulte was on CNBC talking about how he suggested Powell should resign. Any comments on whether or not Powell should step down? I know you've been pretty critical.
I don't have a comment. I'd love him to resign if he wanted to. He's done a lousy job. Look, if you were there, you'd say, well, you know, the United States is doing well. They have no inflation. And if they do get inflation in a year or two, we'll start raising the rates. We'll get rid of the inflation, and do other things. Biden had the worst inflation in the history of our country, 19%, but I think it was much higher than that. Frankly, they say 19%. I think it's a lot higher than that. And we have almost no inflation now. We've done a great job in a short period of time. Energy prices are way down. Gasoline now is down to close to $2 in a lot of places. A couple of places I see it even broke. It's like $1.98 a gallon. We've done a great job on inflation and honestly, pretty much everything else. I think it's very sad the way people act. You have a guy in there that with the stroke of a pen could lower interest rates and save us hundreds of billions of dollars a year. But he's a stupid person.
Does Donald Trump not know that his attacks on Jerome Powell are impacting our economy? They're hurting the strength of the dollar, that Donald Trump is a one-man wrecking crew of the economy that was once thriving clearly. He doesn't, I know this is the no accountability administration, but is he not even going to recognize the damage that he's doing clearly? Not unless someone explicitly spells it out to him, which a reporter did, interrupting Trump to fact-check him, shut him down when he was asked about Iran.
When it comes to nuclear weapons, Mr. President, are you concerned that the Iranians may have some enriched uranium at Pickaxe Mountain?
The last thing they're thinking about right now is enriched uranium. They're not thinking about what they want to do is they want to get back to life, and they do want to meet me, and we'll do that quickly. We're going to do it quickly while we're meeting.
They said this morning that they don't want to meet with the U.S. Were they telling you something different in private?
They may say that to you. Don't you think they want to meet me? Don't you think we have sanctions on there that they can't do anything? Wouldn't you think that they want to meet me? I mean, they're not stupid people, but they went through a lot, and they suffered, and so did Israel. Israel suffered greatly. It was a nasty 12 days, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
I just love how, kind of subtle that was. They want to meet with me. They love me. And the reporter, well, actually, they don't. They said, they publicly said that they don't. And then, of course, Trump's going to go on a spiel saying, no, that's not true. Of course they do. Everyone loves me. I'm so great. I'm so fantastic. My daddy never hugged me when I was a kid. So now I need attention by destroying the country. That whole spiel, but it didn't stop there. That reaction to the reporter was a little strange, but it only, of course, got weirder. It's a Donald Trump press conference. People, when he just kept saying that this reporter was beautiful, and he's been doing this a lot, but take a look.
And I shouldn't say this because it's politically incorrect. She said, she's beautiful, and you are beautiful. I'm not allowed to say that, that could be the end of my political career, but I'll say it anyway. But you are beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you. You covered Africa for a long time?
Yes, for over 10 years.
Wow.
I covered even your first administration.
Yes, I know that. That's great. Well, thank you. That's so nice that you said that. Appreciate it.
And I have one.
Now, of course, we saw this line from Donald Trump a lot on the campaign trail when he was talking about his no tax on tips plan, which, by the way, isn't happening. What a shocker there. But he told it in the context of a story when he kept saying this beautiful waitress, but to point someone out specifically, he did this yesterday too, and just insistently say that again and again. This is the full pudding brain. I know Donald Trump has always been like this, but seriously, something is clearly wrong. And especially when you ask him questions about some of his friends, and by friends, I mean other dictators like Kim Jong-un and North Korea.
And, a lot of food has been sent there, and other countries throughout the world should be helping also.
And on another conflict that I know you've been working on, sir, is it true that you have reached out with a letter to North Korea's Kim Jong-un?
Well, if there is a conflict, I get along with him very, very well. And we'll get the conflict solved with North Korea. I've had a good relationship with Kim Jong-un, and I've gotten along with him really great. So we'll see what happens. But somebody's saying there's a potential conflict. I think we'll work it out if there is. It wouldn't involve us. But again, we're very far away from a lot of these places that we're solving problems with. But I enjoy doing it, I like doing it, and it's the right thing to do, and we have an ability to get it done, so we're solving things that we didn't have a lot to do with. Serbia, Kosovo, I told you, we solved a potential disaster. I can tell you that some of the countries that you're not going to hear about, but some countries that were ready to go to war with their neighbor are not going to go to war with their neighbor, and that's a great thing. We have a number of them. But I'm very happy about India and Pakistan because they actually have nuclear weapons. You know, when you talk about Iran, they were trying to get it, but India has nuclear weapons, Pakistan has nuclear weapons, high-level nuclear weapons both, and getting that solved was really great. We did it through trade, so it was a great thing.
Mr. President, when it comes to
The mainstream media is doing us such a disservice by not covering this as it needs to be. I've seen, and I've talked about this on the show, the Daily Beast is now referencing Donald Trump's age whenever they're talking about some outlandish thing that he did. And I think that's smart. I think that's right. On Donald Trump's age is playing into how much he is losing it. The same discussion was happening every day with President Biden, and he wasn't actively tanking our economy and trying to undermine the Fed chair as Trump continued to do right here.
But he's a stupid person. You know, it's very interesting. I'm not sure if he doesn't understand it, because you should be able to understand it. It's sort of 101 economics, but I'm not sure of that. But think of it. With the stroke of a pen, he talks about costs. We can save $600 billion, maybe even, these are nice numbers for you, right? $900 billion, $950 billion by lowering interest rates. And it's really just more of a paper movement. It's not like you're not cutting anything, you're not cutting jobs. It's just interest rates. And we're number 40 or 44, number 45. Some places that you wouldn't believe that, you know, I don't want to be disparaging, but they pay a lower interest rate than the United States of America. And without us, everything blows up. You know, we sort of control the world in that sense. But we have a guy that's just a stubborn mule and a stupid person that is making a big mistake. He's making a mistake. And it lasts for years, because when you do the debt. Now, I've instructed my people not to do any debt beyond 9 months or so. Get this guy out. And whoever is in there will lower rates. If I think somebody's going to keep the rates where they are or whatever, I'm not going to put them in. I'm going to put somebody that wants to cut rates. There are a lot of them out there. And I said this morning, a lot of the business shows today were saying, you know, Trump is right. He should be cutting rates. Think of it. We have a great country. We're making a lot of money. We're taking in billions of dollars in tariffs.
It's funny how stupid Donald Trump sounds attacking Jerome Powell for being, in his mind, stupid. Like, that's a little interesting thing there. Like, no one sounds stupider talking about how he thinks other people are stupid than Donald Trump. It's almost like a talent. And it's, of course, not just reserved for those at home, those abroad as well. Because Trump went on to attack the EU. He's not having a great day. It was mostly meltdowns, as we saw right here.
Sir, you said a moment ago that it won't work out very well for Europe on trade. Does that mean you want to cut off those negotiations as well and just tell them what?
No, well, they've been very tough. The European Union was formed in order to take advantage of the United States on trade. That was why they were formed, and they're nasty. They're very nasty. We have a good relationship. I'm dealing with Ursula right now and the group, but it's a very tough situation. They have been unbelievably bad to us. If you look at past precedents, they've treated them very badly. They're being very nice to me because I get it. I know the system, and we have the cards. We have the cards far more than they do, and they have not treated us well, and they're coming to us right now. You know, I said I was going to put on a 50% tariff. As soon as I said that, I put it out on Truth. As soon as I said that, they came to the table. They didn't want to come to the table. My people were telling me, Scott was telling me, and the whole group was telling me that not a good situation. They want to tap it down the line. They don't want to really deal. So I said, we're going to put a 50% tariff on you. And Howard, as you know, was very much involved, Lutnick, Commerce. And he said, They don't want to talk. As soon as I put that on, I was getting calls from them like, can we meet tomorrow? And the problem is they have a lot of very unfair taxes. They have a lot of taxes that you wouldn't put on, and they sue all our companies. They're constantly suing Apple and Google and all of these companies, and they're getting, in front of judges that essentially almost work for them. I guess they do work for them, the European Union judges. And they're getting these crazy rewards. Apple was fined $17 billion, and others are being fined tremendous numbers of dollars. They're nasty people. And I don't want them affecting U.S. companies. I don't want that. If anybody's going to affect a U.S. company, I want it to be us. And if they're going to have to pay a penalty or a fine, let it be to us. So they've done this for a long time, for years, but they're very nasty. The European Union is very nasty, there's no question, but they'll learn not to be so nasty very soon. They know that. They know it's coming.
This is someone who is clearly unwell, but more importantly, is inflicting pain, economic pain on the rest of us because of how unwell he is. And that's the story here. And that's what we're going to continue to report on, because the mainstream media won't on this show every single day. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.